good topic. It's kind of broad, it's kind of not. And I hope it's like, it's beneficial to you guys. Because we're talking about baggage and comparison.
No, but past baggage in dealing with past baggage in a relationship.
I agree.
That's what we're talking about. So if you got any questions, feel free to type it up, and then we'll try our best to answer your questions.
Agreed.
Yeah, but anyways, let's just a little housekeeping. A little housekeeping. So we've actually decided. Well, I wouldn't say that it's official. It's like kind of chill at the moment, but we're putting all of these videos on YouTube. So if you miss out, go check out our YouTube channel, DnA. If you just type Atida and Dave in the YouTube search, you'll find us. So just make sure you go to DnA and then subscribe and like and comment and ring the bell. Anyways,
I can't believe we turned into those people that subscribe to our channel.
We used to joke about it. Remember when you came to Melbourne? It's like, hey, welcome to DnA.
Welcome to my channel. Agreed.
Yeah.
Sure. Hi, Kamal. And Jacob, your brother is on. Hey. Okay, babe, let's get into it. We're on a time crunch today.
So yeah, we're gonna try our best to make sure we finish early. No, not a whole hour. So
okay. So we're gonna start off with baggage. Wait, what's baggage?
What is baggage?
Baggage, yeah.
Past baggage is mainly the stuff that you bring in. Not really you bring in, but stuff that you've experienced in the past that have kind of like left trauma or kind of have created some sense of like distrust for your future relationships and whatnot. So it's basically the stuff that you carry into a relationship that kind of needs to be dealt with when you're dating a new person. And it doesn't have to do with dating. It's actually got to do with new friendships you make. You know, you might have just broken up with a friend, and then now you're trying to create a new friend. The new friend, you realize that there are some habits that you're bringing into the new friendship, you know, that you need to kind of, you know, get rid of. And so, yeah, this is not just about dating. I'm pretty sure that you can apply whatever we're going to talk about in any relationship.
Yeah. So what is your baggage? What did you bring into this relationship?
The thing is, I think I brought in more baggage than you did. What do you think, baby? Because I've been through a lot. I mean, like, I've got some childhood. I've got some childhood trauma that's still affecting me to this day. I've got some past relationship issues that I was still dealing with. Yeah, just my personality in general. Like, and also I've had moments in my past where I had anxiety and depression. So all of that kind of carries into it. So yeah, I think I brought a lot of baggage, but I think as I grew up, I kind of let go of a few things. So you didn't really get affected with a lot of it. Yeah.
I think my the baggage, I would like name one in particular. I wouldn't think it's baggage, but I just think it's something that I just bring into the relationship that has negatively impacted us. We are completely being vulnerable right now, but I think my independence grew not only from being a middle child, Like I've had to, you know, fend for myself real quick because I have an older sister and I'm just like the middle child, and then I have a little brother. So from a young age, I did kind of have to fend for myself, like deal, like I had to man up and provide for myself. I'm not saying my parents don't, but yeah. So, and then growing up, I guess past relationships have kind of like fed to that independent ability because like I realized that I don't know, it creates a trust issue that I don't trust you to take care of me, so I'm gonna take care of me, and that doesn't allow you to take care of me, which
Yeah.
can cause a really big problem in our relationship.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Agree to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question: when is it appropriate to talk to your partner or your friend or whatever that about the baggage that you have brought in?
When is it appropriate? Oh man, I personally think that if you've got the first thing that you guys should tackle in a relationship is past baggage. Like the first thing before you even move forward. I think the first month of your relationship should just be about let's tackle this. You know, let's talk about you. Let's talk about your past. What happened? You know, are you struggling with a few things? What are some traumas? And I know 1 month is a time where you don't even trust each other yet with certain things, but there's a lot of things that you need to deal with at the very, very beginning, because I think if you prolong it, it ends up you always, because every single time you try to tackle something of the past, it's almost as if you're going to ground zero each time. It's almost as if you have to like it takes an emotional toll on both of you. Therefore, meaning it's like you're withdrawing emotional emotional currency from each other when you're actually talking about these things. So if you do it at different places in your relationship, like you're almost always going back to zero. But if you just tackle it but for us it was a little bit different. I think we're a little bit privileged because you were my best friend for a while, so you kind of knew a lot of things. So we kind of dealt with it before we dated. But then when we started dating, there was some higher level stuff that we had to deal with. But the little major things we dealt with it. But yeah, at the very beginning, I think as much as possible. If there are some things that you don't feel like it's right to disclose, it's your right to kind of keep it. But I think most of the baggage of the past, you should do it right at the beginning. That's what I think. What do you think, baby?
I agree. It's good to do it at the beginning, even though there is some baggage that you will not notice at the beginning. I think, I don't know if you noticed at the beginning that I was such an independent little, boss woman who didn't need no man, but got a man anyway. I don't know if you could tell from the beginning, but I think the further along in the relationship, you picked it out, and you're like, babe, you need to let me take care of you. And I was like, yeah, definitely I'll do it, but I never actually let you do that. So I think there are some things that you are going to pick up naturally along the way. The more you date someone or the more you're in a friendship with someone, you're going to be like, hey, you're insecure. You compare yourself to other people so much. That's a baggage you might have carried from your ex relationship, your ex partner, or whatever. So there are some things that you can like verbally expose that you know yourself you're bringing into the relationship. But there are also some things that you need to keep an eye out for and pay attention to as the relationship progresses.
Yeah, and there are some real things that you need to talk about at the beginning, but there are some things you just don't notice about yourself. Like for me, like I never really knew that because I've gone through. I don't think it's time for me to disclose it to the general public, but I've gone through some stuff in my childhood that still gets to me today. And at the very beginning of our relationship, I never really thought too much about it. But then as we went on, I realized it affected me emotionally because I found myself being anxious sometimes and not putting in enough effort to emotionally take care of you, that I'm just always, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And then there came a day when I kind of like just shared what was really going on in my mind, and then that kind of helped us. It kind of helped me, you know, like release that so that I can kind of put my focus on you. So, yeah, there are some things that you do need to talk about at the very, very beginning. Yeah, especially about exes, about your exes, especially about your ex.
You cannot avoid the topic I'm talking about.
You tried avoiding the topic, baby.
It's not a cute topic, okay? Because if you go through a really bad breakup, it's not something you always want to talk about because it's kind of like a reminder of what you went through, kind of thing. So it's not a topic that you'll be willing to be like, yes, let's talk about it. But it's very necessary to talk about your exes, what happened, and be truthful about them. Because even if you lie about it, one day you're gonna run into that ex, or your boyfriend's gonna run into that ex, and then the truth.
Yeah, and the conversation is gonna come up. It's always gonna come up.
It will.
When it comes to exes, it's always gonna come up, and it's always better you deal with it at the very beginning, because if you're like 7 months into your relationship, and then like, for example, you know, for example, there's one sign that you're still dealing with past baggage, and that's it, and that's you still like attached to your ex in one way or another, depending on what your experience with your ex was. For example, if your ex really treated you well, right? And you don't have anything against your ex, so you're like, yeah, my ex is fine, right? But then you find yourself always talking about your ex, which is like, yeah, whatever. But then it actually takes away from your current relationship, and that's where the comparison thing comes in, right? So it's always safe when it comes to exes. Just talk about it straight away, deal with it, talk about, you know, the goods and the bads, any traumatic experiences that you felt, any heartbreak that you felt.
Ended it?
Yeah, you know, what ended it? Did you have closure? Did you both have closure? Even all of those things, make sure you talk about it, make sure you deal with it, because it will come back to haunt you in the future. And it feels great when knowing that, you know, we've had to have some crazy conversations, like just push through the wall conversations about our exes, and like it was so difficult, but we had to do it. We couldn't avoid it. I remember the day that we talked about, you know, our exes one time. I was at work, and I just like, man, this day is not gonna end until we deal with this. Like I was just out on the road, and I'm like, nah, we gotta deal with it. And we did. At the end of the day, we tried our best to understand each other, and we dealt with it. Yeah. If you guys have any questions about this, feel free to ask any questions. Yeah.
And also a way to, even though you might say, oh, I don't have baggage, trust me, everybody has baggage. Basically nobody out there who doesn't have baggage. And we're not talking about just relationship baggage between a boyfriend and a girlfriend, etc. We're talking about friendship baggages, as we've already said at the beginning. And everybody has baggage. And part of self-growth and part of being single, one of the best things about being single is recognizing one of those baggages and being able to identify them and working actively to deal with them. Because you may just conclude and just leave them aside and say, oh, cool, whatever, I was hurt, and leave it like that. But you need to allow yourself to heal, literally, so that when you get into the relationship, that insecurity that you have, because it was fed by your ex or whatever, that insecurity that you have, it doesn't seep into your relationship with your current boyfriend or your future husband or whatever like that. It doesn't seep in, because it's a seed that will grow into something And
Yeah,
eventually, by the time you try and deal with it, it's going to be harder to pull it up from the roots than it would have been
definitely.
when you were just a seed.
100%.
Harder to deal with when it's already grown and flourished. It's much easier
Mm,
to just be single, recognize, hey, in the past relationship I was hurt. They told me this. And it's not a physical wound, but it's an emotional wound that many young
mm,
people don't really realize that you get emotional wounds. And
yeah.
it's very critical to take that time to just be like, yo, hold up. I can't date right now because my past has done this to me. And we're not saying you need to be completely healed by the time you start dating again, but you need to be making active progress.
Yeah,
So
you
that,
know, everything doesn't have to be perfect in your life. You can walk into a relationship with baggage, but it's just you gotta
yeah,
make
yeah,
sure that the other person is aware that you've gone through this, that
yeah,
this is what you're carrying, and they're okay with it. And if you don't let them know, there are some signs that you're gonna show them that's taken away from the relationship.
yeah,
Like there's many. I'll give you seven signs, seven signs that are taken away from your relationship. Seven signs of past baggage, that's taken away from your relationship. The first one is that you find it hard to get close to somebody. You find it very hard, whether like you find it hard to have intimacy. You find it hard to emotionally open up about things. You're kind of like restraining to be close to that new relationship that you are in. And the second one is neediness. Like you ask a lot. You become a lot more needy than your partner. So like you have this expectation that they're gonna fulfill your emotional needs, then you're gonna fulfill their emotional needs, and they're gonna feel it. And if that's where your relationship is at, it's actually destroying it, and that's your past baggage destroying your relationship. The third sign is that you have there's a sense of control. Like you become very controlling, and like that's where you always ask, oh, where are you? What are you doing? Like send me a photo to prove it. All that kind of stuff. That's when you know that your past other relationships or your past traumas, it has created that kind of person in you, and you need to deal with it. And the fifth sign is that you burn to know what your partner is thinking. You always want to know what your partner is thinking, and
guilty.
and what he's feeling all the time. You just feel a sense of, you need reassurance all the time. The sixth the sixth sign is that you always have these deja vus where when your partner pushes the same button as your ex or your previous relationship, you always like, and then you always like make comments about it. Or, you're acting like my ex kind of
Yeah,
thing.
ex used to do that.
Yeah, my
Oh,
ex used to do this. And the seventh sign is that you're always looking back. This is where you still feel connected to your ex or to an ex in one way or another. And yeah, and so we've had, like, we were talking about, like, talking about your baggage too late. We've had an instance where there was a baggage that we talked about too late. Do you remember it? Do you remember the guy that you dated? No, you didn't date him. You were seeing him while we were best friends.
oh yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So like, there was something about him that you were carrying, and experience with him that you were carrying, and it came out so later into our relationship that when it came up, it was literally like a heartbreaking thing for me, and like it took like a massive emotional toll on me. So like, best to say, like, make sure that because I mean, I wouldn't, like, I never blamed you because like you didn't know that this thing was affecting you. You were not sure of it, but when we started talking about it,
You
that's
understand.
when you kind of realize, oh my goodness, this is
Yeah.
actually this is actually a baggage that I'm still carrying now. So
Like
so
small
yeah,
behaviors.
so
Yeah. Small little behaviors that are out of the ordinary that you can do, like small
yeah.
lies, whatever like that. You sort of need to just like kind of unwrap. Like, why am I lying so much? Or why am I saying this so much? The
And
moment you
that's
start,
how
how you know.
and that's how I noticed. That's how I noticed that you were like there was little things that like so I started asking you questions. I started questioning you, and then that's how everything just got exposed. And so
Yeah.
yeah,
That's,
by the way we dealt with it, we went through it and we talked about it, and it was a painful hard time, but we dealt with it.
that's what relationships are for. Like,
Yeah,
that's why you date. So these things come out before you hit the altar, before you go to the altar. These things they need to
yeah,
unwrap so that
yeah. And that's and that's where I could bring up why you can't just date somebody for 3 months and marry them, because 3 months is no long enough for you to know
what they're carrying.
what they're carrying. You know, you could be going through like honeymoon season in your relationship. Oh, everything is great. Oh my goodness, they're the most amazing person. Oh wow. But and then you start you marry them after 3 months, and then you realize, oh my goodness, they were carrying baggage
So much.
that you
Yeah.
didn't know about. There is nobody. I do not care how handsome the guy is, how cute the guy is, or how beautiful the girl is. Everybody carries baggage. Whether he treats you so well, whether she treats you so well, every single person carries baggage. So that's why you date long enough to have at least exposed a few of those things so that you know what you're dealing with, because you don't want some things to come up in your marriage.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Because by then it's too late. Can't turn back.
Can't turn back.
Can't go back. Expose it
Yeah.
now. One of the
Yeah.
biggest prayers, this is gonna sound so cliche. One of the biggest prayers that I did was like, God, if there's anything about David that I need to know, expose it in the name of Jesus. And I said that prayer with pride. I was like, God, expose him. Whatever he is carrying, who sent him? Did you send him, God? Like, I wanted to know the baggage. Because you need to know some of the stuff people are carrying for you to
Yeah.
get into a relationship with them. That's why sexual encounters, that's it. Sex.
When you
Oh, we
and
won't.
not just that little things that you that and it's not just about exes. Like it's also got to do with people you dated.
Yeah.
It's got to do with family. It's got to do with business relationships that put trauma on you. You know, whether you've been abused, harassed,
Name it.
you know,
That's too bad.
any that's all baggage, and that's stuff that you need to talk about
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and deal with, because they do bring a toll on your relationship. And the best thing you can do for the other person is be emotionally available. And if you are carrying a lot of baggage, there is no way you can be emotionally available, because you're gonna want sympathy from the other person always. You just want them to take care of you, and that's what I call a codependent relationship, where you're not in it for the other person to take care of the other person. You're in it so they can help you heal.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, you're not even telling them what's wrong with you. So you're not even sharing them your baggage, you know. But you expect them to take care of you emotionally, but you know. So it's really, really important to expose those things.
Okay, babe. Last question before we start. How do you deal with it? Like, Brother Dave, I have a lot of baggage. What can I do about it? Like, my past, my father did this, my mother did this, my best friend stabbed me in the back and slept with my fiance the night before we got married. Brother Dave, I am hurt emotionally. I'm scarred and I'm not emotionally available. How can I deal with it? How?
Oh.
Sorry.
I am not an expert. I'm definitely not an expert, but being a person who have carried a lot of baggage, and having done it the wrong way one time and having done it the right way, I'll tell you this. Sharing what you're going through is really important. And I know, like when I said, I know when I said, oh, share it at the very beginning of your relationship, but, oh, I don't even trust that person yet at the very beginning. Even if you don't trust them, talk to somebody. It doesn't have to be them. Talk to somebody that you trust. Make sure that you're actually dealing with it. It does not mean that you put it on pause. You have to make sure you're always dealing with what you're going through. For example, I've had a traumatic experience when I was younger. I've had to go and get some counseling, right? When I did get some counseling, now I handle it better than I used to, right? But if I had tried to get you to be my counselor, it would have never worked. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. If I had tried to get my girlfriend to be the counselor, it would have never worked. So there are some things there are some certain baggages in your life that you don't have to, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to talk about it on a extensive, whatever, like,
Deep level.
on a deep level, right? You don't have to talk about it on a deep level with them, but at least say, hey, I'm going through this right now and I'm seeing a counselor, and that's enough. It doesn't have to, they don't have to fix a problem. Like, sharing each other's baggage does not mean that they have to fix your problems. There are some things that you share and you're like, yeah, I need a counselor, or I need to talk to a pastor, or I need to talk to somebody about it. Or, but there are some things that you both need to deal with, which is like all about your exes and all that kind of stuff that you both need to, or it could even be that you've never had closure with your ex, right? You've never had closure with your ex, and I can recognize that. I'm pretty sure you've had closure with your ex, so we talked about it. But like, and I can be like, hey, babe, I don't think you've had closure with your ex. Please go back and have a chat with him, get closure, right? Close the chapter, and then come back. There are some times where you need to do that. That's what that's one way we do it. You talk about it, you make sure that you get some help if you need to. But I would tell you this. Nobody, like, I think I had somebody come and say, Brother Dave is speaking. In fact, you guys can lean on each other and be open, but the work to heal is personal. People can't fix us. That is very, that is very true. So never talk about expecting that they're going to fix it. But I'll tell you this, nobody can fix you. I mean, you can go to a counselor, you can do this, but nobody can fix you if it's not God.
Amen.
Like,
amen.
Like, nobody can fix you except for the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
There are some deep stuff. I've seen, I encourage anybody going through trauma to see a counselor. I encourage it, but because I've seen a counselor myself. But at the same time, I'm telling you, all they do is just listen to you. All they do is get you to talk to you because you wouldn't do it on your own. And there's a sense of healing when it comes to just exposing what the problem is. There's a sense of healing that comes with it. And that's why a counselor is good. But the healing part of it, it cannot be done without the Holy Spirit. So I think prayer is one important thing when it comes to a relationship. You guys praying for each other. When you expose these baggages, make sure you pray over it. Make sure you destroy some stuff. You know, I remember telling you, hey, you know, like I want to break some crazy, generational family curses or whatever in your life, and vice versa. You know, I want to pray about that because I don't want what the baggages that were part of your family to be part of our future family. So we're gonna pray, and we're gonna break those things and make sure that those things that are of the past or generational curses do not affect our relationship. So that's the stuff I can say if you yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. And I'll just leave you guys with a verse, or just say a quick verse that I whipped out before. It is Revelations 21 verse 4. Like David said, nobody can heal you but God. There is a divine healing that he can put in your heart that can fill that hole, that black hole. People say, oh, I feel like there's a black hole in my heart. Only the Holy Spirit can do that. And he can restore what has been taken from you because of those traumatic experiences. So I'll read Revelations 21 verse 4. He says, he will wipe every tear from your eyes. There will be no more death, no more mourning, no more crying or pain. For the order of these things has passed. God is closest to those who are in mourning, those people who are going through a heartbreak, those people who are crying over something or that have just been hurt physically, not only physically but emotionally. People think God is close to you when you're in a car accident. Yes, but he's also closest to you after you've broken up with that friend or that boyfriend, after you've gone through the most traumatic thing with your parents or your mom or your dad. He is closest to you, and it's the time that you need God the most, more than the most, because it is also an opportunity and a window that the devil can sit in and take that opportunity to implant something in you, aka baggage. Doesn't make sense.
And like, as much as God can heal your sickness, he can heal your emotional wounds and your scars. I'm a big believer that it's okay to have a scar, but it's not okay to keep wounds.
Amen.
So like I still have like a scar right here over time that I wanted to kind of pretended to be Jesus, and I put a nail through my thing accidentally. But it's okay to have a scar, but it's not okay if this was still an open wound. If this wasn't healing, it's not okay. So make sure that you get healed, and God is the only one that can heal your wounds, and
pray. Never stop praying about your scars until they're healed. Until they're
healed.
Keep praying.
Just like how like when you're sick, you always pray until you get healed. If you've got baggage, if you've got scars, pray until they're healed.
And even after they're healed, pray about it so that they do not return.
We're closing, and I'll say this, like you cannot do it on your own. Like whatever you're going through, whatever baggage that you've had, your boyfriend cannot fix it. There is nobody. You cannot fix it on your own. It's getting back to what we call dedicating, giving your life to Christ, like 100% of it. Some of us may be Christians, and we've given Jesus, some room in our lives. It's not every single, but there's a certain door that we've closed to him. Maybe it's our baggage, and I'm telling you, the best thing you can do is open that door and let him in on it, because he's the only one that can heal you. Whatever you've been through in your past, there is always hope. There is nothing that cannot be healed. There is nothing that cannot be restored. And I think that's the beauty of letting God into your relationship. Like, I don't even know without God where we would be. Like, how we would have be able to, like, you know, deal with some of the stuff that that I went through, some of the stuff that we had to deal with. And so, like, without God, it's definitely, it's a hard one for relationships without God.
Amen.
Yeah, it's a pretty good close.
It's a good close. Well done. So
Yeah.
you guys, if you need, if you want to talk to any one of us, our DMs are opened. Not really, but
Yes, please, the DMs are not open.
No, what we do. DMs are open, so feel free to talk to one of us. We're not experts. I'm just gonna re-emphasize that we're not experts, but we can only try and help. And follow every single Sunday. We go live. When he is able to travel finally because of Corona, we'll be doing these live sessions side by side soon instead of you being
that'll be awesome.
Yeah, so
that'll be amazing. I can't wait for that.
Neither. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Do you have any last words, babe, before we do?
Nah, just make sure you check out the video if you missed it. Maybe I saw some of you guys come in a little bit later, or maybe you might have been busy, watched at the beginning. The video is gonna be available tomorrow on YouTube, so make sure you check it out. Just type Atida and Dave, and you should see a YouTube channel called DnA. Or Dave Atida, whichever way around, it should come up on YouTube. So yeah, check it out, subscribe, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you guys every single week.
Awesome. Thanks, babe.
No problem. You guys have a good rest of the day. I will, of course.
I love you.
Love you too,
Okay,
babe.
bye, guys.
Bye.